Okay, seems to be running. Hey Flosstube, my name's Marie, or more accurately, my name is Marie. I'm French. I live in beautiful Paris. When you see my eyes go up, I'm actually looking at the window. I've got a view. I'm on the 17th floor of a late 70s housing project, so not very glamorous, but the view is just fabulous and the place is cozy and yeah. So this is me trying out my first video. It's been nagging me for, I don't know, maybe 3-4 weeks now, because of all you guys. At first I was like, okay, this is strange. Why do people just, film themselves talking about stitching? And it just, that it just grows on you so much. Um, and you learn things, and of course you discover things, and then you realize that you also want to talk about stitching and talk about yourself and show what you're doing, and then those zillions and zillions of thoughts just cross your mind constantly. At least that's how it goes for me. And yeah, and then at some point you say, okay, let's just give it a try. We'll see. Just want to say a few things before I really start digging in the stitching thing. So as I said, I'm French. So obviously my English is not going to be perfect. Far from it. My accents are going to be weird. Grammar is not going to be perfect. So just so you know, there's no way I'm going to apologize for this because this is how it is. But just so you know, it's going to be a little bit wobbly, I guess. And then the other thing is probably in large part due to cultural differences, I may sometimes cross a line that most of you, maybe American or Canadian people, will think is a bit too far. Maybe with one or two curse words, maybe with some comments that are probably not very politically correct, that kind of stuff. That may happen, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to state things with, this French arrogance, maybe, that you will think, how, dare she? So that may happen as well. I'm going to be careful. But as a few of you have said time and again, it's either you or it's not interesting. So that's definitely going to be me. Now back to the good stuff, I guess, or I hope. Stitching. I'm 44, so as many of us, maybe before I don't know. Anyway, I grew up with my grandma and my aunt actually teaching me to cross stitch. My grandmother would very constantly cross stitch one alphabet sampler a year, and she would have it framed and she would have it hang on one of her house walls. And so probably in my early teens I started doing some stuff, and my godmother, who's my aunt, she also did cross stitch, and some smaller things, more maybe delicate. Of course, obviously she was younger, and I remember doing some stuff late teens, early adult, I guess, with her and for her. And there's still one or two of my tiny alphabet samplers in her living room, actually, 20 odd years later. And then it disappeared. I mean, I didn't cross stitch for years and years and years. And then somewhere around maybe 7-8 years ago, I took it up again. There is a very famous shop in Paris, cross stitch shop, which is called, wait for it, Le Bonheur des Dames, which literally means the ladies' happiness. it's a beautiful shop. It's just, I think maybe for those of you who don't know Paris or fantasize maybe about Paris and French things and people or whatever, it's just the perfect 19th century elegance kind of style. And so this shop does a lot of patterns. The owner and founder of this shop actually create patterns and sells kits. And so again, 7 or 8 years ago, I don't know, it took me again because one of her shops, she's got two. One of her shops is conveniently on my way between the metro or underground and work. Very dangerous, very, very dangerous. So one day I stop there, I look at the things, and everything's beautiful, and I spot one or two patterns in what's called petit point. I think you'd call it petite point, or it's basically 10 stitch or half stitch on high count fabric. And it just called on the other side of the glass. I said, hey, Mev, why don't you just come and try? And so, and so I did. I stitched two tiny little ladies. One is from Africa, and the other one is from Japan. I'll try, and that's going to be interesting. I'll try to put at least one picture. Um, the little Chinese lady I finished it and gifted it to one of my very dear friends 5 years ago, I think. But the little African lady I still have in one of my aunts is actually creating some kind of a frame for it. That's going to be interesting too, and I hope to get it back soon so that I can show it to you at some point. And so the stitchy bug kind of took me at that point. And after those two little ladies, I mean, tiny little things, it's probably, I don't know, maybe 4 by 3 inches or something. That's going to be interesting too for me, having to convert everything from centimeters to inches. I'm probably going to mess that up big time, but I'll try. And after those two little ladies, I saw a bigger pattern, still in petit point or 10 stitch or petit point. So stitched on linen, probably 28 or 30 count of a kimono. And you've actually just got the outline of an open kimono. And in this kimono, you've got what the fabric pattern would be. And so you stitch the fabric pattern, so to speak. Again, I'll take pictures of it and try to insert them somehow, somewhere. And so back then, I started this kimono, and the task was kind of too daunting. And also, it happened at a time when my sight started to change. So at first, I had this what you call them, magnifying glass, and it went really fine. And then my eyes, started to go on the other side of the of the line, and so my sight started to get worse, and I started to wear glasses, and glasses plus magnifying glass was a no-no. So that never worked. It was really, really bad. And so I dropped the project basically because I couldn't see what I was doing. At the time, my glasses were maybe not exactly appropriate or having the two corrections, so both the magnifying effect of the magnifying glass and the actual eyesight correction for my glasses, that just didn't do, so I just dropped it. And I left it there. And then years and years have passed, and I've taken up some other crafty occupations, I would say. Something takes my fancy, and then I just dive right in, and then I go shopping, and I and I just binge craft. I don't know how to say it. And so 2 years ago, something, I started coloring. Now that's another story. But then I dove in like crazy with pens, with color pencils. I did that hours and hours and hours on end. All the while, I discovered micro macrame or I don't know how you call that, but anyway, so that made me laugh as well to rediscover this. I mean, macrame in my head was my aunt, my mom, any ladies back in the late 60s, early 70s, they wanted to go to do flower pot holders or kind of those strange curtains between doors or between rooms, sorry. They would do macrame, right, with like thick cord, and it was just so 70s, and it's cool, but it just screamed like flower power and rustic stuff. But then I discovered a few ladies on YouTube. This YouTube thing is okay. I'm not getting into this. And doing the very same little knots with tiny little threads, and they would do beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things. So I started trying this out. And again, I'll just show you very briefly the things I did. That led me to jewelry, so threaded jewelry, just basically knots in tiny little bracelets and stuff, which led me to beading. And beading was another of my completely crazy moments. So for almost all of last year, I beaded like crazy, doing bracelets, necklaces, even rings. Again, I'll probably try and show you, just one or two little things. And don't ask me how, but it kind of fell. I lost that, beading bug, I guess, by Christmas 2017, so a few months ago. And I was kind of left wanting of something else. And the act of actually doing something with my hands regularly, even if it's not elaborate, and I'm not an artist, so I need a pattern, I need something simple to reproduce, I need guidance, I need straight quarters rather than an open field, if you see what I mean. So there are not tons of things I can do, but at some point early Jan, I guess, I had to rummage in one of my drawers in my bedroom, and I fell on my cross stitch stuff, and I said, okay, maybe I should, take a look at that. And so I sorted out some patterns, some booklets, fell on that kimono petit pattern that I had started, and I was thinking, this is such a shame. It's such a beautiful thing. Maybe I should give it a try, and that was it. As I mentioned, I live in an apartment that is very high up. It's on the last floor. There's no one in front of me, so the light is just fabulous. Daylight is just perfect all day long. And so one weekend I just took the kimono back and started stitching. And with that light, with my glasses now, so a few years later, no magnifying glass, it was perfect. It was just, it was such a joy to get back to it and just do those stitches again. And so, of course, as always, when I start something, a new craft or whatever, I have to go on the internet and check out, flosses, patterns, fabrics, obviously. and things like that. And then, of course, very quickly, when you start searching cross-stitch stuff, you end up on Flosstube. And this is the end of you. And I'm back. Sorry about that. I took kind of a break just to check out what I had done. Wasn't sure what it was gonna sound like and look like. It's still March 22nd. It's now close to 11 p.m. I started the first little bit an hour and a half ago. I just wanted to make sure that it looked like something. So yeah, Flosstube. That was my discovery. You know, re-entering the world of cross stitch, and you don't really have words to describe the effect when you found, you know, when you find people that actually do the same crafty stuff that you do, and how much they talk about it, and the beautiful things that they actually stitch. And I think what I like the most is all the different people that actually spend time rambling in front of a camera, and showing their amazing stuff. And the fact that it's so very, there's such a huge variety of stitchers and of things to stitch, and that just, you know, takes you by storm, basically. The first one I encountered, she doesn't do any videos anymore, was Mrs. Milky Bar Kid, and I know you all know of her, and I probably watched all her videos, and of course I discovered Chatelaine thanks to her, and then one thing leading to another. I entered the realm of what you guys called Hade designs, which is definitely not for me, but it's just like, what in the world is this thing? How can people commit to do huge projects and stick to them and actually finish them? That was just crazy. I also stumbled across a YouTuber who goes by the name of Peacock and Fig. I think she's a Canadian lady, and she's got those awesome tutorials, different things, but you can, you know, just get acquainted with, I don't know, metallic threads, or she, you know, gives a lot of different advice on what to do, how the specialty stitches and stuff like that. But I think that I first fell in love with Flosstube thanks to, definitely thanks to Mrs. Milky Bar Kid. And then, of course, you go from one to the other, to another, and to another. Recently, I've enjoyed very, very much seeing a fellow European lady, and that's Mika, who goes by Darling Bluebell, I think. Blue's my color, so that's easy to, you know, you're easily into what she does. But I think her personality, the ease with which she dives in, I like the fact that even if her English is way better than mine, it's not her mother tongue, and she just is awesome in the way, in the enthusiasm she shows, and you know, the smile she gives to people just because she's so into her stuff, and the way she grew. Like, I think for starters, there was only one or two projects. She didn't want to have too many at a time, and now she ends up having quite a bit. And you know, she just loves what she does. Sorry. And then there's a whole other category of people that for me are like from another planet, and this is what I like about this community, if you will. I don't really like the word, but I know you guys can relate to that, so let's stick to it. Um, for me, people from this other universe are the people that undertake tens and tens of different projects, big, huge projects, and they also have very busy lives. I'm thinking of someone who is so completely different from me, and I can't help watching her. And this is, I think, Sarah from Stitchin' Mommy. Um, I know that, you know, her world and my world are just universes apart. And this is probably why I like so much seeing what she does and the way she plans, and at the same time being a full-time mom, and in this United States that I know a little bit for having lived there for a while. But it's just so different from my day to day, my life, and also probably, you know, what I am and what I like and stuff. And again, the love of what she does, and the things she stitches, of course, is just so beautiful to watch, that I really, really like her for that. Um, Another one that I love, and I hope that at some point she'll end up watching those videos, because I kind of, I'm probably gonna take the same path, is Jessie Marie, who goes by the name Jessie Marie Does Stuff. I love that your videos are over an hour long systematically. I I love how you have so many things, and you've got so many plans, and all the while you're just so human, and you're gonna stitch them, you're doing them, and you're stitching stuff, but it seems like it's just all over the place, and I love that about you, and the, again, the variety, sorry, of the stitches, and the projects, and the styles and everything. I think, yeah, I mean, those are the few channels that I've I've watched, and I've liked very, very much. Um, and um, and so, you know, it just, okay, it was on. So stitching the kimono was fine, but then Chatelaine just like barged into my life, thanks to, again, Miss Milky Bar Kid. And so I bought three small designs, on the website, and I'm just going to show you two finishes. The third one is something that I gifted, and I still don't have any pictures of it. I have to ask for one. Um, I'll try to insert what the pattern is supposed to be like, just so you have an idea of how I did things, and then maybe I'll talk more about it. So yeah, so as you saw, the colorways that I chose are completely different from what was charted. And obviously, when I started 8 weeks ago, I only had a few DMC flosses, and of course, I very, very rapidly bought some hand-dyed threads and some silks. Au Ver à Soie is a French brand that most of you know. You often call it AVAS, which is the acronym. Um, they do silks that you want to dye for. I had the chance to discover a French lady who hand dyes au verre à soie flosses in awesome colors, and so I bought a few. And then from the little tiny Chatelaines, I went and gone a little bit beyond with a few other projects. And I think, yeah, I think for tonight this video is already very long. I'm just going to show you a huge one, which is called Coats of Arms, or Coats of Arms, and the design is by a German brand. The designer's name is Stickideen von der Wiehenburg. And I'm going to try and show this to you. It's tiny. It's a print because it's a PDF file. So this is 200 by 600 stitches roughly. So this is it. Okay, getting acquainted with the camera. It's very big. And there you are. So Coats of Arm by Stickideen von der Wiehenburg. This designer I discovered watching a video from a young British lady cross-stitcher. I can't for the life of me remember her name. I'm going to try and find out. She has done a video on, which made me smile, on continental designs and what she called boho chic, I think. It's funny how even just on the other side of the channel, the continent seems a whole different world. But thanks to her, and her video is really good because she shows lots of different patterns, mostly Italian and French and German, as this designer I've just mentioned, and she shows loads of patterns, and clearly, you know, there's among them, at some point you're going to find one that you love. I will do everything I can to find this video, and if I manage, put a link in the description box below. We'll see what it, you know, we'll see if I manage. And so back to this Coats of Arm design. This is not my style at all, but my boss happens to have a country house not very far from Paris, and he's designed it in a crazy way. He's pretty much a contemporary art guy, and his living quarters, I mean his real apartment, is very modern design stuff. He's well off, so he can afford, you know, good furniture, nice things, etc. But in this house, he's decided to reproduce some kind of like the old-fashioned European, what we call hunting cabin, which in reality is not for hunting, but you show off your whatever, your game, and you've got, you know, very cozy cushions and sofas and whatnot, and there's also an English British style to it. And anyway, in his living room, he's got this huge couch which is green velvet. I'm going to show, I don't know if it's going to show well, but I'm going to show a piece of the fabric. Yeah, that's pretty true to life. So it's a deep kind of evergreen, I guess, deep green, and so the what I thought was this Coats of Arm thing design would be just perfect in this environment, like kind of, I don't know, gentleman farmer thing. And so what I did is I chose flosses based on this piece of fabric, and I came up with, oh, I'll have another video to talk to you about an LNS I discovered that was just paradise on earth. Anyway, so this is the basic, it's a pearl cotton, number 12 from DMC. And so this is just like perfect to do the main color of the design. But of course I was not going to stitch this all in green, right? I would have gone crazy. So what I did was I chose, sorry for the noises, I chose a bunch of water lily silks to go with it. And I don't know if you can see this, but this is just, okay, if I manage to do something on this huge design, this is what's going to look like. I'll show you where I am at another time. I think this video is going to be way too long already. I'm sorry I didn't show much stitching. Again, this is my first. Don't know if I'll put it in online eventually, but I thought it was worth a shot. So I'll be back probably very soon with more live examples of what I'm stitching or what my projects are. But you've seen the two little chatelaines, and you've seen the this project that has just been started, and that I'll probably be stitching for the next I don't know 25 years. We'll both be retired by then, probably barely able to walk. But anyway, we'll see. So this is it for now. Okay, let's just say thank you if this makes it to YouTube and you actually watch it. And I hope to be back because there are loads and loads and loads of stuff that I'd love to share. Thank you again. Stitch well and be kind.